Yo, 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 Joburg, everybody! Welcome to an episode. This one is called 234. See what I did there? We're talking Hasbro reveals and more. Fortunately, Hasbro provided the new shit this week, so we don't have to bring any of our own. Yes, after the Fan First Friday event this week past, we have 10, I think, 10 new figures to talk about. All digital renders, all pretty pictures of figures. No actual plastic was used in this event. But I'm not alone. My name is Steve. I'm joined by Paul. Hey, Paul.
Hey.
And of course, we got our main scooper.
Huh?
The loving scoopful. It's Rob.
Oh, there we go.
I would do anything for Joe's. I would do anything for Joe's. I would do anything for Joe's. Rest in peace, Meatloaf.
Yeah, man. Jeez.
Rest in peace. Hello, everyone.
The musical renditions continue here at GI Joburg. Another tribute to a masterful musician, an absolute giant. Well, in literal and figurative terms. Meatloaf. Oh, damn. His name was Robert. What was it? I'm stalling.
Oh, shit. I can't remember.
Fight Club.
Dude.
Fight Club, yeah. It's
Deep cut. Deep cut. And Rocky Horror Show, or Rocky Horror Picture Show, which I was corrected once upon a time. When you're seeing the live show, it's the Rocky Horror Show. When you're seeing the film, it's the Rocky Horror Picture Show. And I think he played Ed, if I'm not mistaken.
He did, yes.
Yes, Frankenfurter's first creation, first love, maybe? I don't know. Yeah, it's open to interpretation. But anyways, he was the rock and roll guy with the big old lobotomy scar who got chainsawed. Lovely. Anyways, yeah, man, Meatloaf, gone too soon. Or maybe just in time. Who knows? But 2022, man, it keeps on taking people out, or people just check out. They're like, we don't think this is going to get any better. So we're going to cash in our chips now, thanks.
I'm done.
I make lights, but yeah, it's always sad to see an absolute giant leave us. But anyways, gents, we've got new toys to talk about. So let's rinse away the realities of this morbid existence with plastic distractions. Here at GI Joburg. It's all good times. Gents, anyone got any new toys? Anything they want to discuss up front? We're going to get into the reveals in a bit, plus a few other speculations. I think we might talk Super 7 reaction vehicles.
Keep talking speculations.
And a few other fun listener-suggested topics. But let's do the usual. Fellas, any new toys in the last 2 weeks? We didn't really get our teeth into it last week because we had the fabulous HCC788. Wonderful guest. Great responses on the YouTube channel, in the chat section. So thank you for everyone who watched us live, who watched us after the fact and commented. Yeah, man. Lovely to see Hoodie doing well, moving from strength to strength, and just coming back and giving us more of that fantastic brand of content that he does.
Hey, yeah. Yeah, it was cool hanging out with Hoodie. And he was just in such great spirits. We had so much fun. And I think
always a smart, balanced, measured answer with that guy. I love it. I love it. Yeah, I could listen to him or pick his brain on the topic of GI Joe all day, every day. Great guest.
all day, every day.
You know, but the man has a life and he's got some reviews he needs to crank out. So glad we kept it when we did. But yeah, Rob, how was this last 2 weeks for you? These last 2 weeks?
I think in general been pretty good. Nothing new. I've looked every now and then on eBay, but like those darn shipping prices. It's so high. It's like you want something and they're like, oh, okay. It actually costs at least 3 times as much as you thought it did when you first looked at it. But otherwise, yeah, no, pretty good. Surviving, still out here. It's 2022. Anything could happen. I could totally buy toys this year.
We remain optimistic. Paul, I'm sure you
Cautiously
got
so.
some new toys kicking around, dude. What's going on?
I totally do. I totally do.
Hot
I
Wheels and
was
He-Man.
yeah, no, sadly no new Hot Wheels. But that's okay because it's I think Celia and I were just lucky enough to pick up some of the cool stuff that we wanted to near the end of last year. Um, so yeah, nothing too crazy there. However, Mattel related. Actually, it's kind of a funny story. So I got this guy. Okay. This is Battle Armor Skeletor. So
Whoa.
here's a fun fact about this figure. I ordered this from a local seller, a very, very cool local seller, a guy that's actually creating a bit of a, I don't know, just like he's becoming a port of call for sort of Mattel stuff. He's a huge Hot Wheels distributor or huge Hot Wheels seller, and is now also a He-Man seller. The guy's store is called House of Diecast. I'm plugging him. But yeah, so I ordered Terraclaw's Skeletor and She-Ra. And somewhere there was a mix-up. So then I got Battle Armor Skeletor, which is quite funny because I don't have Battle Armor Skeletor. So it wasn't a major, major issue. And it has sort of since been rectified. But yeah, I got this. And I gotta admit, when I opened the box, because I was extremely excited to get my hands on Terraclaw Skeletor, as you guys I'm sure know, as many of our listeners know, that's the figure I was excited about. So to pull this guy out of the box was disappointing. Not that it's a bad figure, I was just disappointed at the time. It turns out it's actually quite a fun toy. Anyway,
Well,
so
just to let the listeners in on the fact that Terraclaw Skeletor was your Skeletor. You didn't have the
Yes.
original. You didn't have Battle Armor. You got that one.
yeah,
So
yeah.
very, very
So-
special place in your heart.
So there are some benefits. So I got in touch with him and I was just like, hey bud, sorry, it's just a small whoopsie. And I got the option I could either send this one back, which would have actually just been a ball ache, or he could make a plan. So he made a plan and he's sorted out another one for me, which was great. So and then also not pictured, unfortunately, because I can't seem to find the picture for it. But I also got She-Ra. Finally, yes, I finally have She-Ra, who is, a fun enough Masters of the Universe toy, Masters of the Universe Origins toy. She's got some what do we call it again? Soft goods. They're terrible, but they're there, so yay. And so I finally got a She-Ra, which is also cool. And then this guy, because I bought and paid for this dude a while back, also from a local seller. It's a bunch of guys based in Plett. They're called Red Claw Comics, and I got this dude. I'm gonna kick your ass. I got good old Casey Jones from the Ultimates line, from the Ninja Turtles Ultimates line, and I'm very excited and very much happy with this toy. Such a great, great figure. I just need Donatello now and Krang, and then hopefully down the line an Osagi Yojimbo, and I'm pretty much done with my Ultimate Super 7 Turtles collection. And yeah, I finally have a Casey Jones, because fun fact, I never had a Casey Jones as a kid. I always liked the character. He was quite popular. I don't know if he was popular in your circles. But yeah, I always wanted one. I always thought he was pretty cool for having his little golf bag with all of his weapons in there. So I finally got my hands on this dude. Also via a local seller, a local store called Red Claw Comics. And they were very cool. And that finally shipped. And then after all of that excitement, I finally got, as I'm sure you can see in the picture, but full reveal over here, Terraclaw Skeletor. And he is so great.
Wow, look at that hot pink chromed brassiere he's wearing. That's not just
Love
a
it.
helmet. That is a bra.
That's a bra. It's-
He's
With a
ready
very-
for the runway.
Very fetching skull clasp. I suppose that's the kind of bra that you ping open on the front side instead of around the back.
Front clips.
Very
Those are always more
convenient.
awkward.
Are they? Okay.
For me, they are. But
Come on, Paul.
when I say
Use your
for me,
ninja
obviously,
skills, man.
No, listen, it's just a matter of literal milliseconds here that we're speaking about. It's just you know,
That's
not
right,
that I'm
ladies and
wearing
gentlemen. Paul has timed it. His bra removal technique is second
No,
to
I haven't
none.
timed it. I just know that the one
Milliseconds.
goes faster than the other. God, I'm not that crazy. Who's got time to time things in that moment of time? Anyway,
I don't know, man.
The
True
He's a
story.
ninja
True
master.
story.
He's got to practice.
This is a genius, absolute masterful move by one of the guys in my choir back in varsity. He admitted to the fact that he had never taken a woman's bra off. So I don't know, man. All the females were like thinking, okay, let's give this guy a test ride. Like, let's see him fumble. So I think they put additional bras on over their tops, but like they were just lining up to be unpinged by this virgin of bra taking offing. And I'm just thinking to myself, this is all just a giant ploy, you dirty boy. Yeah, he got very close and personal with a few females that day, and I was just sitting there thinking, what the hell? What madness is this?
well played.
Anyways,
It's a very
virgins.
Well played.
anyway. I'm just really
I
glad
think
to
he got it
finally
down
have.
to a couple of seconds, to be honest. Just to cap off that story. Yeah. Good old
Oh,
Kevo.
okay.
Yeah.
Nice one, Kivo. Listen, I mean, like, if we want to talk about removing bras, and it's like such a topic, the He-Man figures, they have very dainty little clasps at the back of their armor, which can be quite difficult. And there's a meme that's going around where it's got something to do with that. That's why, that's why I'm good at taking it. That's why toy guys are good at removing bras, and it's got a picture of the back of Skeletor with these.
So this is
funny
actually a
clasps and
thing. We've just stumbled onto an actual thing in the He-Man collecting community. Oh my goodness.
Yeah, it's like an actual meme thing.
You Motu guys are weird, man.
We are weird, but man,
I mean, here
it's
we
so
talk
great
about
that-
like stretching out O-rings. Which is infinitely worse.
But yeah, dude, the fact that they've kept the play feature from these figures is awesome, because Terraclaw, Skeletor, and Flying Fist He-Man both have a twisty waist and flailing arm action, which is just so much fun, actually. And
Wait, is that not
They don't
standard
have-
across all the Motu guys?
no. The regular Origins just have normal bendy posable arms and things. They don't really have springy action features, should I say? Sorry.
Mind blowing.
So it was great, and I know as a child I promptly lost that set of claws. So like I know that at one point I just had one claw on my Skeletor, and that
So it
funny
wasn't Terra
flappy
Claw
dragon.
Skeletor, it was Terra Skeletor.
Yes. And then eventually I lost everything, and even the little clip at the back of him. So it's just good to finally have this dude complete, and makes me super happy. And something I have to share, because I saw this morning on Facebook, and because I am going to be the recipient of one, I have to show this off. But look how big this thing is. Not the
He's
flag,
talking about
ladies
the
and
Roboskull
gentlemen.
Mark II on a flag.
So cool. Look at
Radio
that.
Paul,
It is
radio.
massive. That's going to be so much fun. Like, yeah, I just
To fill
saw
our
that this
listeners
morning.
in on it, the Roboskull Mark II is probably just shy of the length of the island. So the tower section on the USS flag, wingtip to wingtip, is the same length as the Mark II. The Mark II's wingtips are touching the third level railing, or the second railing, if you want to call it that.
It's
Yeah, no,
wild.
it's-
This thing is
it's
so big.
huge.
Yo.
It is big. It's gonna be. This is gonna
Substantial
be
toy,
two
man.
hands of toy, and I love how this shot is like flag for scale. This, of course, comes from the Skeletron Secret Lab. So
Where the
the
prototype
Facebook
resides currently. And Ryan
Yes.
Sweeney's got some important info for all you backers out there. The backer kits will open at the end of this month, and that is like around the corner. So end of Jan, get your backer kits locked.
Cool. Anyway, that's enough of me showing off toys. Hopefully, this will signal a bit of a quiet month or two for toys for me while I build up funds and get excited for the next thing that I'm sure we all want to talk about.
Yowza. Well, should we plunge straight into it, gents, or do you want to vent about whatever you've been reading, watching, or playing the last 2 weeks?
Rob,
I saw The Matrix.
there's something I want to
in
mention, but I
cinemas.
haven't heard enough Rob today.
I haven't actually watched much this time round. I did start a new series called what is it? The Silent Sea. It's a Korean sci-fi.
Oh, that thing, yeah.
The premise is the Earth is like running out of water, and this team of scientists has to go to the moon to retrieve something. We don't know what it is from a old Korean moon base. And by the end of the first episode, they get to the moon base and like just barely. It's like, oh, are they still alive? I suppose they are because there's more episodes to come. But
Spoiler alert. Spoiler
Does
alert.
GI Joburg recommend Silent Sea, Rob?
I think I definitely would. Yeah, I mean, from the first episode, it's gripping. Looking forward to watching more of it. Yeah, I think that was basically the only thing I watched this week. I just watched a lot of YouTube, just some stupid like you laugh you lose videos, essentially where people watch funny videos on YouTube until they laugh.
I think YouTube is winning. It's winning the stream war, in my opinion, and I'll tell you why. On-demand TV has the huge downfall of like being spoiled for choice and being non-committal. I watch 1 or 2 episodes in a series, and I'm out. Like, unless there's something really hooking me, like that I need to watch the rest. I get the vibe of what the show's about, and I move on to the next thing. So it's a problem, man. I keep on having these non-committal like TV show watches. Like I watched a bit of Demon Hunter, this anime on Netflix, and a bit of Deadly Class, which I realize
What?
is by the Russo brothers. They're producing it. It's a
Is
comic
that
book
who
some
does
years
Deadly
ago.
Class?
No, they're producing it. I don't think they're directing it or have written it. But I mean, I watched an episode. I got the premise, and I was like, "Oh, this is very nice," but I don't feel like a strong compulsion to stick around. So YouTube, my friends, is it. You sit down for 20 minutes, you digest a video, and it's done. And you can find anything on any topic you happen to have the impetus to check out. It's as simple as that. Like, man, I'm gonna rather shamelessly just almost exclusively watch YouTube now, unless it's something I'm sitting down to watch with the spouse.
I think that's definitely a valid choice. I mean, especially it's a good thing and a bad thing that they've kind of gone towards more serialized storytelling where you can tell straight away, like if you don't like that first episode, you're not going to like the rest of the season because it's all one story, no matter what it is. From Star Trek to Daredevil to whatever it is that you're watching, it's almost exclusively it's a long form story. So yeah, it's valid. I think if you don't get into it in the first second episode, just to dump the show because you're not going to enjoy the rest of that season or the rest of that show until that story is done, and maybe try the second season or third season.
The feedback loop is so immediate between creation and reception. Like the kind of pivoting and course correction that can happen. We're talking about television, but hell, even television is an outmoded term. Podcast is an outmoded term. Who has an iPod anymore? We call this a podcast, but it's really it's a vlog, if anything.
Yeah, it's just something that's streamed at some point. Everything's streaming these days. It's insane.
I've got a bit of news, or not news, but certainly something that Ryan Sweeney has once again tipped us towards, and I did want to raise it because I'm not a comics guy, and you guys are. IDW losing the GI Joe and Transformers licenses by the end of the year.
Yeah.
It's not signed in stone that it's going to Robert Kirkman's, what do you call it, an imprint? Is it called
Yeah.
Skybox? I don't know. I'm throwing
Skybound.
Skybound. Skybox was a trading card company, if I recall correctly.
Yes.
Anyways,
You're correct. Yeah.
it's not bound in blood just yet that it's going to him, but it's definitely falling out of IDW's what would you call it, stable. So they will conclude GI Joe number 300 by then, along with some
Wow.
other fun stuff, apparently, according to the news. But what does this mean for the title? Like, in short, do you guys have a dog in the race when it comes to this stuff? Do you have an opinion? Or are you just like, oh, that's fine? You know, I kind of jumped off the GI Joe comic book bandwagon a while back, so it doesn't really affect me. But it does affect
I
the listeners,
totally-
so have an opinion.
I totally do. I just want to say, I just wanted to ask you quickly. Is Deadly Class actually? You're very neutral about it, right? You just said like,
Well, it's on Netflix, so it's pretty easy to access for present company. I would say give it a watch. The premise, as with all these things, like there are elements that I'm like, I like that, and then there are detractors that I don't like, and like that it doesn't even have to be a balancing of these two things. Like there can be more things that I like than things that I don't like, but because I'm so spoiled for choice, I'm not committed. I don't have to catch it week
Right.
to week in order to know what the story is. It's not programmed television that lines up with my free time in the evenings. So I feel nothing invested in continuing to watch. I'm like, yeah, it's interesting. I can see kind of where it's going. It's kind of analogous to other things. It grabbed me by the balls because it started with Behind the Wheel by Depeche Mode, and it's set in 1987.
okay.
Now, I wish there was a mainstream TV show that had the balls to set a show in that era and go with a
And stay there.
letterboxed, go with a 4:3 screen ratio and degrade the visuals. Because if you're setting something in the past, and I'm looking at HD, like super zoosh, shot digitally, beautiful frame for frame, it doesn't sell the era. You can play all the period tracks you want. It makes no difference. I will feel like this is made now. So
Right.
that's why I stepped off. I'm like, you want to stick with this era? It's not enough to have people playing with Rubik's cubes. And I'm looking
Yeah,
at you,
create the
Stranger
video.
Things. Do
Yeah.
it because you're gonna get a few people saying, "Oh, this is junk. It looks crap." But if you look past that, if you're like, if you're like me and you're like, I want to buy into this being a throwback, a total anachronism, then commit. So yeah, that was my detractor.
I
Lovely
would
performances.
definitely agree with it. Yeah, I mean, but if you want to just read the comic book, Paul, the show got cancelled
Yeah.
after one season, so you're not getting any more of the show. By the way.
Okay, yeah, because
Comic
that's
book
actually
is
why I was asking, because it was
going. It's still going. There's like seven volumes at this point, I believe.
well, dude. I was just surprised to see that the second season of the Shannara Chronicles was on Netflix, because I thought that TV series completely bombed. But on on the topic of things that a little bit bomb-ish, I finally watched Fast and the Furious 9. Don't do that, by the way. It's actually no, do it out of morbid curiosity. It was a fun enough film, I suppose. I don't want to sit here and like say it was really crap. I think all the Fast and the Furious films have some kind of weird appeal that sort of draws me in. And I finally just got around to watching F9, and it was okay. It was cool. There's definitely a loss in quality over time with those films, as you would expect. There's a bit of a degradation in storytelling, etc. Yeah, so play that however you want to. Started watching something called Jiu-Jitsu, which has Nicolas Cage as kind of like a martial arts meets the Predator kind of vibe. My timing was off in trying to watch it because when it started, I was like, okay, like they're going for a bit of a low budget effects thing, but I feel like they took, I feel like they flaunted their low budget a little bit too hard, and I'm sure if I give this my attention, there will be something in there to really enjoy, like the martial arts. I know that Bart has recommended it to me amongst others, so I need to check it out. I don't know if you guys have seen it or even caught wind of it. Finally, I got to watch Raiders of the Lost Ark with Celia, which is, as you all know, Indiana Jones. She has seen it before, but it was just great to watch it again the other night. I actually watched it when I didn't have any internet. So it was like, oh, cool. What cool Blu-rays do we have to watch? Indiana Jones. So we did it. That was great. Amazing film. And on the topic of Indiana Jones, I finally reacquired the Blu-ray for Blade Runner. And watched that last night, actually. And yeah, I still love that movie. And it was Celia's first time ever watching that film, and she thoroughly enjoyed it, which was also
Thoroughly?
cool. Yeah, she did. She
Really?
thoroughly enjoyed it. She liked the visuals and she liked the story. Yeah, I was quite happy, like that was the case. But she is into films that are like that as well. So yeah, so I didn't think like I wasn't sitting there going, oh shit, like if she
Well,
doesn't
mate,
like this, I
it's
gotta.
love then. Okay, if you're
Yeah.
both like not undecided, if you're totally all in on Blade Runner, then yeah, put a ring on it, dude. What are you waiting for? I'm actually gonna, for the sake of brevity, I'm gonna just read the review I wrote for Eternals. I'm sure there's a drinking game to be had for all the times there's a wide-angle team shot in this film. Honestly, I don't think any film typifies superhero fatigue more than this. A massive budget, a bulging cast of super beings, the end of the world at stake, and so utterly unmemorable. 1.5 stars. That's enough of that.
Awesome.
Guys,
Well, so-
IDW losing GI Joe. Let's circle back, please.
yeah, sorry, man. I just
Have an opinion,
I-
comic book guy and artist guy.
Rob, do you want to go first, Rob, or should I? I feel like Rob's is the more educated comic book opinion, seeing as you're on the front lines,
Watch GI Joburg squirm, ladies and gentlemen. It's like, I don't want to talk about it. You talk about it. No, I don't want to talk about it. You talk about it. You're the more
I
qualified.
haven't read a G.I. Joe comic book in years. So, I mean, I would love to keep going with the series and eventually catch up with the IDW stuff. I think it's great.
You got a long way to
that-
go. There are more modern GI Joe comic books than there ever were vintage ones.
Well, I'm gonna have some good winter evenings, I guess. Sitting on my bed reading comic books. I think it's a chance for them to do something different. It's unfortunate that IDW is losing license, but I mean, hopefully that means that Image or whoever takes it up next is able to do interesting and new stuff, new fun shit. Yeah, I mean, having not read them, I don't know if they are any good. I'd imagine they would be. I mean, it's Larry Hama. He continues to explore, what G.I. Joe is in comic books. But I hope wherever it goes, it has a even longer life. Let's see what happens.
I'm sure you guys can, and for our listeners, cast yourselves back a few years when we got that interesting news in Wizard magazine that G.I. Joe, the comic book, was coming back, and it was being headed by this new team or whatever. It's like Image was picking it up, and it was very exciting. I know I was excited. It was one of the first pieces of G.I. Joe anything that I'd picked up in a long time. I happened to be visiting a comic book store locally, just happened to see the book on their shelf and got extremely excited, ran in and instantly bought it because of that amazing J. Scott Campbell cover, only to be a little let down by the interior art, to be very honest. And the story didn't go in the direction that I liked, and that was pretty much my romance with the introduction or reintroduction of G.I. Joe into the comic verse, because I only bought the first, 4 or 6 issues, and I was like, okay. Later on, I would manage to get all the graphic novels, mostly out of just thinking, oh, maybe I really did miss something here. But I remember being very excited about that. I remember being even more excited when I heard IDW was going to pick it up. And I was working in a comic book store at the time. And it was great because I managed to get my hands on a few issues. And, there was a certain style to it. There was a certain polish to the IDW style of comic books at the time. It was definitely, ironically, the IDW takeover of that brand sort of came when Devil's Due was doing some interesting stuff with the comic books, like some interesting sort of rebirth of the line, and yeah, it was just crazy. So I remember at that time feeling kind of the same way I feel about it now, in that I'm very excited to see the brand get picked up by what I can only imagine is somebody who wants to do it more than IDW, and taken away from a group of people and I'm not throwing any shade towards IDW, but obviously, somewhere along the line, Hasbro feels that they must have dropped the ball, or maybe IDW themselves, or they're done. They are quite happy to pass along the football. I don't know, but I'm sort of excited to see what's coming. And I don't know if it's going to be better or worse, but I do know that Kirkman has a magic touch, and his imprint has a magic touch with brands, and maybe that's why Hasbro is motivating this shift. But I'm excited to see what Robert Kirkman's imprint does, because this could go either two ways. This could be the same as back then when Image picked this book up and then IDW after them, or it could be amazing. It could be something that's really, really, really incredible. We could actually finally see a line of comic books dedicated towards GI Joe and Transformers, and I'm focusing more on GI Joe here, that gets turned into a TV series or something that goes really, really well. I don't know. So I am cautiously optimistic about this switch over. I'm not negative, and I'm also not bashing IDW. Yeah, which brings us to Steve. What are your feels?
Gonna try and keep it brief. Look, for good or for ill, change is change. And I think the G.I. Joe book could do with a shake-up. Maybe get down to the purity of concept and shed some of the extremely heavily layered continuity that it's kind of groaning under. There's a weight of history that the book brings along with it. I think the most exciting direction G.I. Joe could possibly go in right now, comic book wise, is for the narrative to really take on board the runaway success that Classified has been. Tell stories around that core group of characters and that expanding roster. Use those designs, captivate the imaginations of the people currently buying the toys, and maybe the book has a chance. Because sales have been dwindling. It's kind of limping along on life support. A new exciting team needs to harness the power that G.I. Joe has at the cash register. And even if it's with just us old boys, like if I was a Classified collector diehard, I would dig to pick up a comic book that somehow gave my toys a narrative. Because it's been said before, and most recently by our buddy HCC788, Classified lacks any kind of narrative input. We've got toys with no backstory. We've got no file cards on the packages. We've got no story at all. And so much of the importance of G.I. Joe and what set it apart from other imitators and other toy lines was the richness of its own mythology. It wasn't pulling from a TV series or comic book or a movie. The toys at the cash register already had a story invested in them. And it came in the little text on the backs of the boxes. So if it takes a comic book to give us those backstories and that richness, so be it. I'm excited, man. Let's go.
No, that's cool.
Classified is the way. Speaking of which, let's talk about some toys.
Toys.
Only half an hour into this podcast, and we're finally going to crack open on some toys. Let's get stuck into the plastic. Emily and Lenny came on the horn at 11 a.m. Pacific. Oh, no, East Coast time, I think it was, on Friday. And they showed us Zaymot.
He finally got to go first.
I know, right? The scarred twin, looking very, very classic in his presentation. In fact, so classic, I don't have a great deal to say other than I really like the fact that they have differentiated their head sculpts. Zaymot has a scowl. Tomex is looking cocky with an arched eyebrow. So the head sculpts alone tell a story, and I like that simply because my reading of Tomex and Zaymot is that they are not carbon copies. They've experienced different lives. This is a classic nature versus nurture scenario. One of them bears a scar. There's been some hardness in this man's life that his brother doesn't share. So while they are genetically identical, their histories tell a tale, and they've imbued that in the sculpt. They've also imbued it in the fact that you will have to buy these two separately. So very smart. They are making the same figure twice and making you pay twice. So one set of tools, different peripherals. So the sash is obviously a secondary that has been added, and the shoulder pauldron is a secondary that's been added. And the belt, the fact that it has the sheath or holster on the alternate sides, also speaks to the fact that that's different. But the base figure is by and large the same parts, the same buck. So while it looks unique and different and one of a kind in the line, yeah, the smart money on putting them out single packaged is that I mean, Hasbro, you got to hand to them. They're geniuses. They're printing their own money at this point. They're laughing their asses off because they will eventually. And I'm gonna put my money where my mouth is here. It's Stephen the Soothsayer, Mr. Sky Striker, 16K once again. But I'm gonna say that the Walmart retro line that now has Baroness Destro and Gung Ho and Lady J joining their ranks. In a similar vein, they're gonna put these guys out in a 2-pack. With the mirror packaging, the mirror box. Eventually, once everyone's bought them single packaged, then there will be this beautiful like throwback to the original carded presentation, and that will be a must-have buy. You'll be able to have the collector-friendly pull open trays that you bought with the single packs, and then you'll have this carded version, which will look spectacular on your wall to keep carded. That is the value of the retro collection at Walmart, let me tell you.
Well, they can go even further. They can even do like Crimson Commander versions. You can do nice red ones. You can go crazy. I mean, as you'll see later, I mean, they do a lot of variations. It's once they get these bodies going.
Well, it's interesting that I mean, they definitely went with the classic presentation. I mean, the not the classic presentation, the classic appearance. So if they did go retro carded, they would have to just pretty much repeat the same figure.
Yeah.
Maybe deepen the blue. But every time I look at these renders, I have to remind myself these are renders. They will naturally look different under a camera lens, and even more so when they're in hand. So maybe these
and
are
also this isn't final. I mean, the colors might, as they look at the prototypes, they'll go, okay, the coloring's not quite right. They might change things.
So let's play a game then. We'll give it out of a 5. We'll give it a rating out of 5 stars. What is our excitement rating for Zaymot and Tomex?
Is that how we're going to do this? Then I've got to keep track of my bloody star rating. That's exhausting. What?
Okay, give me a better system.
No, do the whole recap, and then you guys can give me your top pick, your runner-up, and the stinker of the lot.
Hey,
awesome. Okay, good. So we can keep track of that. Okay, good.
I already know my favorite and my stinkers.
Numbers. No numbers, please.
I think I sent you guys a message after this reveal. It's the second I saw this reveal. I sent you guys a message, and it stated excited and confused. I'm just going to leave that here while we talk over these toys.
Cryptic Paul, excited and confused. Well, you're going to have to come back to that later. But Stalker was the next reveal, I believe. I mean, I'm doing this by memory. Forgive me if I get these out of sequence. I probably will. But yes, Stalker looking very dark, green, and very tactical. It's what
very cool.
It's what the Crimson Twins aren't. The Crimson Twins are absolutely the vintage designs replicated. This is the OG 13 Stalker fast-forwarded to 2022. To my mind, it's the first time Stalker's worn cut-off gloves. Or did he wear those in his Resolute version?
He does have the Resolute version, if memory serves, has cut-off gloves as well.
but
I could
no
also be
damn
wrong.
dreadlocks.
Age
Thank
is a
you.
factor here.
Yeah, it's true. Yeah, sure. I mean, he's got full length sleeves, which we saw in obviously his first appearance and the 25th anniversary and the Pursuit of Cobra version, all brilliant versions. I suppose the only comic book touch that could have been added would be to have rolled sleeves. That was something that like they probably started doing earlier, but it was definitely by the time um, Rod Wiggum was on the book, like Stalker started having the rolled up sleeves. But this is rock solid, man. A great presentation, very tasteful, of like probably I don't know, man. I'm gonna venture everyone's favorite OG-13 guy.
Oh, definitely mine. So
He's
Everyone's
looking absolutely amazing, yo. And his as I think Paul said at one point, his beret is removable. He's got a cool fade going on.
The head
and then he
sculpt's
said,
incredible. Oh, I managed to find on YouTube. Oh no, sorry, on Facebook. And apologies to whoever did it. I can't credit you because honestly, I saved the image when I was like just opening my eyes at 6 a.m. Didn't save your name, but I found a brightened version of the
"Oh,
screen grab, so we can see perhaps a little bit more detail.
I really like that the natural colors for this figure are quite dark, are
Okay.
quite subdued. One of my biggest issues with the Stalker figures is that sometimes they've been a little bit too bright green for me. And I know
Whoa.
that sounds weird because I really like neon stuff, but I just feel like if you're gonna go camo, you don't have to be bright green. You know, just be camo. You know what I mean? If this Stalker was released in bright orange, I'd also be cool with that. You know, but just own own your range, own your color range. Uh, Guys, this beautiful toy has the honor, at least in my household, of being one of the reveals that Celia was like, "Oh my word, that looks really cool." So go you, Stalker, for exciting a non-Joe fan. I also really love that Shemach. I think it's very cool. I think that's something that just works so well with Stalker and sets
And
him
will
aside from
hide.
just being
Yeah, it'll hide the fact that he probably shares a torso with a bunch of other guys, and
exactly
hide the articulation point, which is quite a bit more visible on like guys that have bare torsos.
like Zaymot and Tomax.
Yeah, big time.
Yeah.
You just reminded me, Paul. I took my POC Stalker and gave him a non-dreadlocked head. I put a darker green wash over his green because it was
You
a bit too
did.
pale. And I
Yeah.
lopped off that bloody machete sheath that he has on his belt. So,
Yes.
to be honest, with the added scarfy, this is my Pursuit of Cobra Stalker.
Very much so. Yeah, no, they hit this one right on the head. Like,
Oh, they just
bam,
copied
boom.
me, man.
Yeah, exactly. They saw your picture somewhere on his tank or something, and they were like, "Hey, yeah, there we go. Do that."
Well, this is
It's like
an
that Leonardo
update done
DiCaprio
right.
meme, pointing at the TV.
The first of the retro Walmart recards was Baroness. And it's basically the coil cycle Baroness, but without any of the kind of
Coilless.
the multi-tones, the sort of the grays. It's just black on black. But it does use alternating gloss and matte finishes.
and
So the
apparently
kind
it's a
of the-
new head as well. I
Really?
believe.
Okay.
Apparently, I mean that's what Lenny said at the time.
Okay.
They did
It could benefit
resculpt
from-
the head.
Yeah. Listen, there's a benefit to them doing that. As somebody who owns this figure, I feel, and I wouldn't have felt this way if I got this before the movie Baroness. But when you have this, when you get this one in hand after the movie Baroness, the head on this does seem a little bit big.
Oh,
I don't know what it is. Her body is perfect. The sculpt is perfect, is what I'm getting at. But the head just feels just a little too big. It's weird. It's not. It looks almost. I don't want to use this word because I'm scared of putting people off, but I'm going to use it anyway. It's a little bit alien. Her head kind of feels a bit elongated. It's strange. It's a great. Don't get me wrong. For when you take photos of it and whatever, she looks great. She looks amazing. But it's just in hand. It does have a little bit of a weirdness there. Weird
Isn't
factor.
that
So-
the optimal ratio for like photography and for feature film? like A-list movie stars, don't they all have really big heads and really small bodies?
Yeah, I think
Is
that's
there
true.
truth to that? It's the Clooney
It's for,
effect.
it's true because you want to get those close-ups, those facial expressions. You don't need the body for a good movie performance.
Yes, and the camera tends to kind of blow up your body size anyway.
Anyway,
Yeah.
yeah, through distortion, yeah. So
I don't know if I'm barking up the wrong tree, but I heard that somewhere and I thought, yeah, that makes a lot of sense actually. Hmm.
Well, maybe
Okay.
speaking of what Paul is saying, I mean, maybe that is why they resculpted the head. At least I believe Lenny said they resculpted the head. Is the
Mm.
but
head
then
different?
again,
Is this a
it's
different
exactly
face?
the same. It's exactly the same. So,
Oh,
for, yeah, so
interesting.
that's the thing. So the only thing that makes sense is that maybe they're just changing its proportion a little
Oh,
bit.
so it
If
is
they've
the same
mentioned
head.
changing the head, if there's been some mention of it. Otherwise, maybe they don't see
Ah,
fault with it.
well,
Look, they definitely
Ryan
changed.
mentions, yeah, Ryan mentioned that it's the same head, but with same maybe different paint apps.
I do definitely
Hmm.
recall quite a big song and dance being made about Lady J receiving a very
Whoa,
80s kind of.
uh,
They've pumped up the
makeup.
volume on her makeup. Yes, she's got
Yeah,
very
oof, she got the
very
blue from the 80s because no one wears blue these days.
blue eyeshadow and red lipstick, which, yeah, might apply to other members of Hasbro's team. Kind of makeup that you can see from outer space. Anywho, um, it has been shown a number of times in rather unflattering lights online in people's personal collections and photography that Lady J's head sculpt, unfortunately, does not look very flattering. So this probably is the same head, but with a slap of makeup that might just push it over the line in terms of
Wow.
feminizing it. Um,
I am so nervous about saying this now.
uh-oh.
This is where I'm a little confused because I actually think that the classified Lady J is pretty much perfection.
Mhm.
Wow.
Yeah, and I love the face sculpt. I think it looks very natural.
Do
And
her eyes on your version look like they're a little bit squint?
I'm going to switch on the light in my studio now so that I don't have to look through at this through the palette glow of my monitor.
But
And I will
if
tell
if
you now.
anyone missed, we've segued onto the fact that another one of the retro collection, retro cardback Walmart releases is Lady J. Great
No,
counterpoint
mine's
to
perfect, dude.
Baroness. Okay, good to hear.
Yeah,
Anyways,
yeah.
the only thing I want to add about the retro cards, they'll probably be done the same way Marvel Legends have done the Toy Biz style card backs,
Mm.
which make them a much thicker card stock. In fact, it's two cards either folded and glued or just two cards glued together, a front and a back. So it's very stiff to support the fact that this is a much larger figure and bubble on a piece of cardboard that is also much larger. So it's gonna hopefully look just like 85 Lady J upscaled, which I'm sure
Yeah.
every collector out there is licking his chops thinking, well, that would look fantastic on my wall.
I
Mhm.
I look, as a big Lady J fan, but as a big Lady J fan that doesn't really care much for the cap, I don't care that so much that her cap from the original or previous release is wrong in terms of the color. That never bugged me, but I know that there are a lot of people that may irritate. So the fact that they fixed that and answered those people's prayers is awesome. And the fact that they've made her a lot more bright green, retro colored, as you mentioned now, I suppose is also a good win for people. I really love this figure in classified line, and I'm very surprised that we got a rebake so quickly, if that makes sense. Um, yeah,
Yeah,
but
I want
anyway,
to talk about the hat too. Putting the jump wings on the hat, as per the 85 figure, really sells it that much harder for me. Because when I see the star, it's unfortunately always going to be linked to the first two GI Joe movies and
Hmm.
the
oh
branding of that era. So it's not classic branding. And having branding that is GI Joe branding on a GI Joe figure itself has always been problematic for me. I'm looking at figures that have like the tri stripe and the GI Joe print on their actual like persons. Like figures that do that are so distasteful. So to have a GI Joe that has GI Joe branded apparel, gross. Like, so glad she's got the jump wings or whatever it is, the ice cream, the
Oh, fully
parachute and the
agree.
wings. Yeah. So yes, this is unfortunately going to be the definitive Lady J in my eyes, and kind of push the other one out.
Probably for a lot of people. And I mean, I imagine if enough people did complain about the original version, even though there are people like Paul who really love it, this is the one version that they're going to get to make up for whatever mistakes they saw in the original. I mean, they wouldn't be re-releasing a character if they didn't think they would be able to sell it again.
No, of course.
Lady J is
And that's
currently
surprising.
clogging the shelves, I believe. She's the peg warmer.
Interesting. So then maybe
That
this
is
is
so sad to
them
hear.
trying to reuse the body sculpt and actually make some money off it.
Yeah,
That is kind of
trying.
sad to hear, though, that they figured it's kind of sits. But
Well,
Yeah,
here it
let's
is.
face it, guys. I mean, maybe if they actually made it a smooth dome, it'd be better. I don't know. Ball chicks just don't move units. Let's stick with the retro and show off Destro with eyebrows.
Destro.
Ooh,
Is it magic?
Destromio.
How does it work? Is there a cutout in there? What's going on?
So this is a far more cartoon accurate Destro, but in so doing, pitches it a little bit closer to his 1983 original action figure as well, just in terms of the basic black, having less, I don't know, less color. The magazine pouches on his thigh are now done in black and red. So the holster portion is red like the original, and the additional magazines are black in order to better blend in with the black thigh itself, which I'm in favor with. But this figure will be sold to me purely on accessories, because while classified Destro, many people have come forth and said is perfect, why change it? His accessories suck in my eyes.
Or not.
He's got bloody Nintendo Zapper as his main weapon, and then a pistol to go in that holster, neither of which touch the majesty of his 1983 accessory, which for my money will always be the finest handgun the line ever produced. Ever. So, like, don't mess with perfection. Give me the classic accessory, give me the classic backpack accessory, and then you've made the vintage experience in a 6-inch scale. You've completed it. We are done a huge disservice by not seeing any accessories at this point. So the mind wonders, will Lady J have her camcorder? Will Baroness have her oversized sniper rifle? And will Destro have a collapsible M16?
Oh, I was hoping we'd only get to that at the end, but yeah. Those are my hopes for this Destro as well, is that we're going to get an upscaled version of his vintage gun. I would absolutely love that. Even if, and Hasbro, we know you don't listen to the show, but whatever. I'm sure there's a lot of people that are going to echo these sentiments. Please don't over design it. Just literally take the vintage one, make it a little bit bigger, and give it a little bit of a touch. Obviously, yes, I'm telling you what to do now. Give it a little bit of touch of character to match the scale, and I think it'll be perfection. Because I look at this, and this also fell into the confused category. I looked at this and I was like, wow, the classified Destro is everything you just said now, Steve. It is a great figure sculpt. It was just missing the guns, and I'm like, wow, they really are just re-releasing this repainted. But
just one. All I wanted was just one good gun. They gave me 2 crap ones, bastards.
And please maybe redesign, give us the backpack. That would be cool. That would be very cool. But just please make the internals a lot more interesting. We've seen it done in the modern era line, so come, you can do it, Hasbro. You can do it. Do it for us. Give us a more fun to play with backpack accessory. I'm speaking, of course, because the classified one is not that exciting. So you can't put anything in it.
I'd like to think by changing the way that they go about showing off figures, by doing these digital pre-renders without accessories, it actually gives them a chance to actually get direct feedback from people in hearing like what problems maybe they had before with accessories, what accessories would they love to see with the figures.
Yeah.
So I think by
agreed.
putting it out there, whether on the podcast or in the comments of the the videos themselves on YouTube, it gives them a chance to actually see what people want. And I'd hope that this is something going forward that they are looking to do, is be more transparent. I think that's what they said at the start of the show. They want to be more transparent in what they're doing going forward. So this does give them a chance to hear what people would love to have as accessories, and maybe you'll get really cool accessories because they're actually listening to what people say.
Does
more
seem like they want
cynically,
to
it
up
also
the frequency. They want to up the frequency of these updates because they were like, guys, we're going to show you the digital renders when those are ready. Then when we have like test products in hand, we're going to take some tasty pictures and then show you those. And then pre-orders will open. And then like, so basically the excitement will build over a longer period of time, and there'll be all these kind of like reminders like, give
Yeah.
us your money, give us your money, give us your money, give us your money.
and we'll give you the toys.
So yeah,
we'll give you the
the
toys.
opportunities
Yeah.
to do little pivots and course corrections multiply for them.
Yeah,
if they're listening.
because I mean, they did mention as well. The colors you see aren't final. So then I did see comments. One person was like, the coloring on Destro isn't exactly cartoon accurate. It should be like this. Should be like this. I think someone else mentioned, if you want this to look properly, if you want Lady J to look more like a cartoon version, these colors should change for these parts. And so they can take note of comments like that and pivot and change as they go along to hopefully appeal to a wider audience, more people who would love to buy these figures.
Also, more cynically, it does stop us as fans from harping on about the gun is wrong. I'm not going to buy this figure because the gun sucks. And I think and I think companies or studios, should I say, like Gridiron Studios, who have been, if you guys don't know, and to our listeners, if you don't know, Gridiron Studios creates amazing weaponry for the classified line. Yes, obviously you can use it for any 1/12 scale action figure, but they primarily GI Joe centered in my mind. That stuff is incredible, and
the
yeah,
Hiss
I
pack,
think
the twin
Yeah,
50s and like rocket packs and miniguns on the side of the Hiss tanks. Ooh, if you
So
consider
cool.
how many retro Hisses there are and old school Hisses there are in the market, like, oh yeah, it's gonna be a very popular choice.
So I think Hasbro's taken note of that as well, and I think they're also a little bit like hesitant to show weapons because they kind of know that like guys like Gridiron, they're bringing it to the table, dude. And Hasbro knows,
Play
like,
catch up.
hey, you know what? We're not going to show these guns off right now. Let's have people get excited about the figure first, and try to figure out what
Hopefully
we
they're
have to do
starting
with
to
the
realize
guns.
accessories matter. It really does make a huge difference, especially when you don't have vehicles for a line. I think accessories definitely make a big difference in how people choose what figures to buy.
And
Hope
the
this guy comes
accessories
with
that accompany the new issue or the retro issue of Gung Ho will also tell the tale. I'm going to put it out there right
Ooh.
now, guys. The fact that he has the sculpted grenades on his leg means that they're going very old school with the gun. He will have a pistol going in that holster, a knife going in that sheath, and hopefully his original grenade launcher, maybe with a break action to it. I don't know how he got grenades in it originally. It had a pump underneath it. I don't know. It was an experimental weapon anyways. But like
Break action
those
would be cool.
bloody bogus guns that future Gung Ho came with didn't help the figure. Neither did
And also
the
in their defense,
non-Marine Corps hat and the stupid tattoo. But they've done some interesting fixes on this retro Gung Ho, and I approve.
yeah, I was gonna say, like, to be fair, for me, the Gung Ho's weapons were probably the least offending. They feel like the most realistic guns in that sort of portion of the classified releases. But it is cool to see him getting his proper cover.
They haven't
And-
aged well, though, Paul. Can you admit to that fact? Like, they look
I can
good
totally admit
in
to
the
that.
presence of Duke and Roadblock, and maybe to a
Yes.
lesser extent Speechhead. But
Oh yeah,
nowadays,
no, they were the best of a bad bunch.
Mm-hmm.
Definitely. Yeah. No. But this is exciting I mean, this is a direct, in my eyes, this is a direct response from Hasbro to the fans regarding Gung Ho. I mean, I think the backlash on the former release of Gung Ho was pretty well heard by Hasbro,
Well,
and the fact that they have done this.
Valaverse were eating Hasbro's lunch by producing an accurate marine cover. Like
Exactly.
the writing's on the wall. Like I'm sure they're not oblivious to the fact that they goofed there.
Yeah. And they did the guns, if memory serves. I mean, I've still got that on pre-order on BBTAs, actually,
Excellent.
that set. So, this figure also has the renown in my household of Celia seeing this and going, wow, that looks really cool. That's one of my favorites out of this whole reveal. I was like, really? Of all
What
the
is it about
characters,
a
Gung Ho?
I wonder why.
Bare-chested marine wearing teal.
I was just as surprised as you. I was just like, wow. Tattoos are nice change.
Maybe there's
Is
something
it?
I should be doing.
It's his village people cred, man. Young man.
Young man.
Yep. But look, it's looks like a very serviceable gung ho. I mean, we're always going to lament the inauthentic Marine Corps tat, but they have changed it from black to blue, and that looks infinitely better already. Can't quite see how the eagle wings are done. Is it that very hard, outstretched, sharp line, which looks like a political movement from the 20s through to the mid 40s? Or will it be softer, more outstretched, more splayed, more core? We shall see. We can't see on this digital render. I mean, how ridiculous is this, man? We're speculating based on computer graphics. Such is the way reporting news on toys is nowadays.
So who's
Okay.
next?
That's it for Gung Ho. Guys, let's round this up. I don't want to dwell too much more on the classified stuff because we do have some O-rings to back end the reveals, but there were 3 Vipers revealed. 2 of
Yay!
the classic flavor, and then 1 which looks to me like a later version. I know I've had this figure in hand before, courtesy of my man Zazel from Sergeant Slaughter's Slaughterhouse. He got it as like a Mercer convention exclusive with a swappable head and a removable helmet. But yeah, there's a red vested and gray jumpsuited Viper, which I think Emily is touting as like the commander, like the Viper squad leader, which is nice, adds to some variation. And I think 2 regulars to 1 officer is approaching the right ratio. We'll get into that a little later. But yeah, this looks like a very attractive way to build your army. Smart. I mean, people will be signing up for 10.
I am very excited to see this variant of the Viper, personally. The Python Patrol is fun, but this is where it's at for me, this variation. I love the gray and red Viper. I've got a modern era version of this dude as well. I think this is one of those things where you're sort of looking through it and you go, oh, it's a color change. But for me, this was a winner. And I also see this as a commander type, personally. So, yeah, and I'm hoping that when they re-release these, that they do fix up the goggles for the Vipers, because a big issue that the Vipers have, sadly my one has this, and the goggles don't stay on the head. They fall off pretty easily. And if you try to, and a lot of guys, myself included, have snapped our goggles, trying to fit them onto the head properly, positioning them in there. So I hope that fix is in this release of the Vipers.
Can you remove the helmet? Is there a face underneath that dome?
No.
Then why are the goggles removable?
It's a weird thing. It's the same thing that I felt this with the modern era stuff back then. It's odd. It's like you don't really do anything with the goggles, but the fact that they're removable is a cool feature. It's a weird thing. It makes no sense, but it's cool that they're removable, even though you don't remove them. There you go. Take it or leave it. It's the same
It
as
was-
the sideshow stuff.
Yeah, it was said on What's on Joe Mind most recently that like it makes no sense, but if you do remove them and leave them off, it just doesn't look right. Like there's something very unique, special, adjective about the Viper in having the mirror face with the goggles on top. Something so like cool, functional, like bike riding mechanized unit
Huh?
to having the goggles, like a tanker or someone who'd be in a jeep. And once again, do you call it a shamach, Paul?
Yeah.
Yeah,
so
the
sure.
cool little rag, just adding some character and like a soft goods element, even though it's hard plastic or it's rubbery plastic. It's such a nice breakup of like the hard helmet transitioning into that soft scarf and then into the body armor. Yeah, man, this is a
'Cause
great
also-
design.
And it's a great toy. Once again, I'm so glad I have one of these, one of the initial releases of these, and it's a really fun toy. I've had a lot of fun with my Viper. Anyway, I've had a lot of fun with my classified Viper. It's a very versatile toy. It just could use more guns. That's all. More
Well,
gun
with a
variety.
3-pack, hopefully you're gonna get an arsenal in every box. So yeah, you'll be
So
able
they're
to...
gonna do that as a 3-pack.
Yeah, it's
I
a
believe so.
3-pack.
Oh,
So
I
two
thought they were
Vipers
just.
and one Viper Commander.
Oh, I thought that was just for the photography purposes. Cool.
No,
They're giving it
that's
away.
the pack.
And another army builder pack, this time in O-ring. My goodness, does that Cobra officer have stout shoulders. In the
He
digital
is
render, they have
at
pushed
attention.
his shoulders out a little too far, I think. He looks like he's got like a swimmer's physique, when they're just all shoulder. Like,
Ooh,
anyways,
I'm
my
seeing something here. Yeah.
what are you seeing, Paul? So, for those of you missing out, the O-ring collection continues with a 2-pack of the Cobra Officer and Cobra Trooper.
It's a troop builder.
Not sure if they're going to be single carded within a kind of covering sleeve, or if they will be literally sold side by side in one package. But this is what I hinted at earlier: the ratio of officer to trooper being 1-to-1 instantly has a few problems.
I realized this as I was watching it. I was like, wait, what?
I'll put my hand
each
up and say right
officer
now-
is in charge of one soldier.
I have more officers in my collection currently, and granted, I don't have that many blue shirts, but I have more officers than troopers, and that's a problem that this set ain't helping to rectify. Reason being, obviously, the troop builders out there, even the more moderate troop builders like me, who just want maybe 5 blue shirts and 2 officers, like they are creating more scarcity for the trooper than there ever will be for the officer. So trooper
yes.
demand will always outstrip officer demand, and by making it 1-to-1, you're just adding to that problem. You're going to have all these officers that need pools of troops to command. I almost wish they'd just do away with the distinction altogether. And I suppose I can do that in my mind, but the fact that it has a chevron on the helmet, like, I wish almost that they'd made a
And
kit
different
bash.
web gear.
Like 2 troopers, both with red Cobra sigils on their chests, but like a Franken-Joing of the 2 together. And I suppose I could do that myself, but then there's a shortage of red chests. I don't know.
I know. It goes.
There are always going to be problems with these figures, primarily because I always imagine that the troopers should have the AKs and the officer having the sniper rifle. Anyway.
My thoughts on this. Okay, excitement, like pure excitement. When I saw this image, I was like, "Oh yes, this is amazing." Okay, mind you, I didn't see the other O-ring reveals, but when I just saw this, I was like, "Oh my god, they're doing more!" So I'm very excited about this. I do agree. It would be cool if they did it as a 3-pack, because you got 2, troopers versus officer. You've put that across really, really well. Otherwise, just release them as single cards. That's also cool. Whatever's. But here's the thing I want to get at. and this is something I've seen on a few of the renders now, and perhaps maybe I'm being too, I don't know, pedantic. The fact that the one's shoulders are a little bit further out and the other one's shoulders are a little bit further in, I wonder if Hasbro is testing the waters there. I wonder if they want to see how many people complain about that, either which way. Because I personally hate the shoulders being out that far. I think that it starts going into that modern new sculpt era territory, which it's just
Paul, I'm
ugh.
pretty sure it's just a graphic error.
It could be, but having worked, having done stuff like this professionally for other companies, they are very specific and very deliberate with stuff like this. At least, and like I said, I mean, maybe I am just being pedantic, but I kind of think Hasbro is trying to gauge if people are going to complain about it, and I think they want to see if that's going to determine.
It's a time
We got
crunch,
another
dude.
conspiracy theorist
Yeah.
on our
'Cause-
show.
Those arms are the same arms for Cobra Commander, the Mickey Mouse, and the new retro O-ring release 2-pack. They've just within the digital render taken the shade of blue down a couple of notches, and then they've kind of put it on the unique torso of the officer. That's simple as that, man. It was just slapped together perhaps a little bit too quickly.
Yeah,
I
maybe.
don't think the shoulders are going to be set that far apart on the final release.
God,
They're
I
too
hope
high
they
up.
don't.
They're too high up
Yeah.
on the torso as well. It's all.
Yeah.
So I wouldn't lose any sleep over that. They're not testing us, Paul.
Sorry, dude. It's just that, like I said, I have some of the projects I've been involved in. You know, you'd be surprised what the client, in this case Hasbro, would request. And
If they were set that
Yeah.
high up, mechanically it wouldn't work. The engineering of
True.
the interior hubs of the arms would
It
then
wouldn't work at all. I
would
mean, that,
not
that,
be
that means
encased
that
by
like
the
the
torso.
little, the little like snub or whatever, the little bit that sticks out that goes into the body. That means that his entire ball joint would be outside of his body, essentially.
Can we put this to rest?
Wouldn't work. You know, it would just look completely ridiculous. Like his arm wouldn't even probably work properly.
Yeesh,
I
guys,
do think that's just an error.
I poked fun one time, and Paul's like, "Ooh, conspiracy
Word.
theory."
No, it's actually
Yeah,
no.
it's an
It's something I've
artist
noticed
who
as
worked
well
with the
on other releases. But we'll get into it more. But
There's
I mean,
a story here somewhere. Paul got very upset once with a client, telling him specifically what to do, and
yeah, when it was wrong. Yeah, no, that's anybody in design. We've all had to
Well,
deal with that.
that pack was
Yeah.
exciting, but this pack is way more exciting. I think,
It's way more exciting.
Cobra
and that
Commander
is,
Duke.
and in more cartoon accurate coloring, which is their first attempt to try and do that, at least in the 3.75" line.
My opening swipe. So they're using classic Cobra Commander arms, which have those double piping to the cuffs, which are always blue. Now that they are cartoon accurate, I'm using air quotes, and the black gloves extend further to kind of match the length of the gloves, they incorporate those pipings in the black of the black paint of the gloves
Yeah.
go over those pipings, which makes him look like he's got robot arms. This is Dr. No, guys. He can click his arm off, his hand.
Now that you pointed that
Hey.
out, I can't not see that. Yeah.
It's this double airlock ridge. If these had been like I don't know, what would you call them? Like dishwashing gloves in black. Just a clean comic book villainy glove gauntlet. No problem. But then that would mean a different tooling, a different part, a different set of arms. But here we have just the old arms massaged to fit a different paint scheme. That's the one downfall of this figure. The other, potentially the helmet looking weird, but we can't tell from this render. We need a side profile. Like Cobra Commander's classic mirror face always had a bit of a snout to it, which wasn't comic book or cartoon accurate. So I'm curious to see what they've done to resculpt this head. It certainly bears the cartoon accurate gray stripe on the top. which is a nice contrast. It's a nice breakup. I'm in favor with that.
Well, he's ready to go in space then. I mean, if he has these kind of like airlocked, gloves and he's got the helmet on. So I mean, we've actually he doubles as an astronaut. Cobra Commander. That's
CC
pretty cool.
must have the worst body odor. My God. Guys,
Radiation.
ooh. Also, once again, very excited to see Cobra Commander and Duke, especially because now I can play with them with reckless abandon.
You can
Which is
retire
great.
your Duke before he has crotch fly off action. I swear, like classic Duke is up there with Beachhead and Tiger Force Outback for like just weak crotches.
Right? Although, and I can't believe I'm saying this, I'm a Sunbow fan, guys. You know this.
Oh, I
but
can't believe
don't-
you saying that.
I don't love
yeah.
the Sunbow colors on Duke. I dig them. Like, don't get me wrong. If this was a variation that came out after this reveal, like I'd be all in to get normal colored Duke, aka the vintage colors, and a Sunbow colored Duke, and this I'd be over the moon. But I'm annoyed that it's the Sunbow colors first, because I really love the vintage Duke colors. I think they look so good. So,
Buy
but then
yourself
again,
a
hey,
vintage Duke. They're trying to do something different. It's the 40th
I know,
anniversary of GI Joe and all that,
no, dude, you're right, and I should be I should be more open minded.
Hasbro can't do anything right for Paul.
Right?
want
No,
vintage colours.
like I
want
know I'm
cartoon-
being a
I love
ridiculous
the
fanboy now.
cartoons.
Look, I think the digital render does the figure a disservice in two respects. I mean, it does look like Duke. It's rather unflattering what it's done to his neck because he looks pretty thick. He looks like he's got quite a gizzard, which is lovely, but it's just not Duke. But anyways, that's the digital render for you. And also, like, yeah, I think colors will look perhaps a little more ramped up because of the way digital color works. Paul, I'm sure you can give us a lecture on that, which is why I'm surprised you raised it as a problem. Yeah, sure. 1983 Mail Away Duke totally is far more muted than this.
Yeah,
They've ramped up the green into a green, like an OD green, olive drab, and the shirt is really mustard. Like that's hot English mustard right there, man.
Yeah,
It's
cool.
Dijon, not Dijon.
No, it's cool. It's just not what I. Well, listen. Okay, to be fair, I mean it's not. I can't say that it's not what I wanted because this was a nice surprise. The fact that we're getting these is great. You know what I mean? And
how lovely are the red epaulets? That's
Yes.
so good. And Cobra Commander's pips on his collar, all picked out in different color. Like
no, that's all the win, right? There's a lot of win. I mean, I'm gonna get these because I like them a lot. I'm very excited about them. I'm just being a Moni fanboy, because for some reason I am, and it's actually kind of annoying me that I am that I'm being that way. But hey, power.
I hope they don't do what they did with Snake Eyes and like up the accessory count to kind of give these a bloated like value. I want them to have the same accessory count as they had just so they look good on the card. Now I think this version of CC was never carded. So that's going to be an interesting visual
treat.
I don't know. Yeah, experience. Certainly, if you are the kind of person who wants a wall of carded Joes looking, in their original splendor, this is going to be, enter a new player, an O-ring mirror face.
Well,
But
if I remember
give him
correctly,
don't give him anything more than the Venom Blaster. And ditto, like Duke's original accessory count was perfect. The binos had a strap. The backpack fit onto him. Like maybe, oh my goodness, if you really want to blow my mind, have a little sticker sheet with a American label, or American flag sticker, just like the Mailway. Include that in the bubble, and like, yeah, no, people are going to be salivating over that.
I'm kind of hoping that Hasbro steps on Super 7's balls a little here and gives us some Sunbow accessories. Personally,
well, if I remember correctly,
Additionally.
Lenny did mention that these will come with accessories that speak to the cartoon.
yes, I knew they were going to do it.
I think he said it'll help you to reenact the that initial sequence in the movie.
They used some like clearly marketing team lingoism at that point, like to reenact the fantasy or live the not live the adventure, but it's such an like I need to rewatch it just to pluck out whatever term that obviously came up on the teleprompter at that point. Like
So
go into the figure's fantasy play potential or some other analogous
Well,
term.
yeah, in relation to living out the fantasy of that sequence in the cartoon, I think is what he was trying to say.
okay,
So I
so
think it will
basically
come
they,
with accessories. Yeah, maybe it'll come with like a little bomb. Maybe they'll come with jetpacks or some shit like that. I don't know. But
so basically
and-
the stuff that we've gotten through modern era already.
Now you're stepping on my toes, Paul, because I want these to come carded. Okay, maybe this won't be that. Maybe these 2-packs are made up to be 2-packs and be their own thing. We'll get the same figures in their more traditional color schemes on a card.
yeah, but what did they do with the Storm Shadow and Snake Eyes? Those are 2 carded figures in a box, isn't it?
Yeah, but I think
So
they just
maybe
Yeah, and that's what's
they'll keep
annoying,
doing
Steve.
that.
because they jam all those extraneous, stupid other accessories into Snake Eyes' bubbles. Like, which don't get me wrong, like accessories are great and all, but those don't pertain to that figure. Like there's a purity of concept that holds the one Snake Eyes, the Commando, just having his Uzi and his explosives pack. That's it, man. Like, don't mess with perfection, is what I'm saying.
Hey, for $34 dollars, I'm kind of hoping they throw in extra stuff, but that's just me. But I hear your point, Steve.
Yeah,
Although
look, this
I
release
do
can
want
be the
extra stuff.
cartoon bonanza. Like,
Yeah.
yeah, once again, everyone raving about that opening sequence and then subsequently switching off the bloody film thereafter. Like, come on, guys.
Adios, adios.
It's good stuff. Just stick around. Yeah, man. Oh,
I feel
okay.
like there's more.
Ryan. Like this, I had a sneaking suspicion this was how they were going to play it, but Ryan has speculated that the extra accessories were going to be in the box, but not on the bubble. So potentially, we're going to be able to have our cake and eat it by having value added to the gift pack, as it were, but to be able to display the characters in their vintage carded
Retro
goodness
glory. Yeah.
without like crowding the bubbles. Okay, nice. Very collector
So-
friendly.
So to round everything up, I suppose,
Mm.
there's something I'm sitting on. I've been sitting on the whole time.
Lord, get off it.
And I'm coming to the I'm getting to the classified. I'm going to start with the classifieds quickly and say that I really hope that we get alternate hands with some of those classified re-releases. English today. Because I feel like that's one of the major things that's missing from the classified line. And that's I kind of am speculating that might even happen. But yeah, that's one thing I'm really hoping for. That, and as you mentioned before, some vintage accessories for characters like Lady J. You know, maybe if she could have the camcorder as a handheld as opposed to on her backpack. Not that I have a problem with that. I think it's cool actually. But yeah, just to appease the vintage side of us. Do you guys have any hopes for this for that line in general for the classified re-releases? Releases / re-releases. There.
I think I've expressed all my hopes in our very lengthy review. But Rob, how about you,
Okay,
brother?
good.
I think it all looks very good. Keep going. I think Spirit is still the best figure of the line. Stalker
Very
is
good.
probably a close second.
I was about to say,
Yeah,
your
Stalker's
runner-up would
amazing.
be Stalker.
Hell
Paul, what are
yeah.
you looking forward to in 2022 the most?
From this reveal, Stalker in the biggest way. Like, super
Ding,
excited
ding.
about that. Yeah, big time. I'm very excited about that Stalker. And are we allowed to mention
Runner-up?
anything about the O-ring stuff? Because all of those O-ring re-releases have to find their way to me. I'm very excited about that. They're just fantastic. You know, like as they presented, if they come with their basic weapons, that'll be great. If they come with their basic weapons and extra stuff, that'll be great for me. Yeah, so I'm happy. And also looking at the classified stuff, I'm seeing some potential for other future characters and how other characters might start looking, which is great. So yeah, let's see what they do with that. But yes, as it stands, Stalker all the way, 100%. I don't need another Lady J in my life. I think the Destro I need to see more with Destro to see if if it's worth me actually getting one. And Gung Ho, I might actually pick up just to have that great classic look. But for the most part, Stalker all the way. I think
Any
we've
stinkers,
spoken a
boys?
lot about. Hey?
Any stinkers?
Not really. Actually,
Okay,
I feel
good.
missed opportunity is more a correct term.
Yeah.
I
Speak more.
Yeah, I think there's missed opportunities there, but whatever's, let's not focus on the
With
coulda,
who?
shoulda, wouldas.
Come on, Paul. Don't be coy.
As happy as I am to see Baroness is finally single carded, I think it would have been nice to have seen another new character. That would have been great. In fact, and I don't mean to pick on the Baroness in particular. It could have been anything. Lady J, the Baroness, or Destro even. Any of those could have been a new character. That would have been a little bit more exciting for me. But then again, there's a whole bunch of people out there that are very excited about the Lady J, Baroness, and Destro being re-released. So I don't want to, piss on that because it's not really offending me either. I'm not sitting
Well,
there
that's always
going,
going
"Oh
to
my
be the
word."
reality of the line. You're going to get re-releases of the same characters, and then every now and then they'll add new ones. I mean, we got Tomix, Samont,
course.
and Stalker this time. I mean, that's almost
Yeah.
half of the figures coming out, and they're just those are re-releases, but in the retro classified line. So it's not part of the main line necessarily,
Yeah, that's something that concerns me a little as well. It's like why do that? Why now subtitle it that way? I suppose for the clarity of marketing and shelf space, etc., to call them the classified retro line. It's getting a little bit convoluted now.
But it always
They could have
has
just
been,
called it-
man. I think Star
could have
Wars
just
got us
called it-
started on this path.
Yeah, it's a
Yeah.
bit ridiculous. And also, if I'm not mistaken, these are going to once again be exclusives. Like
Walmart,
they are
yeah.
going to.
Yeah.
Yeah, I see
Yeah.
that.
And that's also how they can
that-
differentiate between the different parts of the line, because you can only get these at Walmart. But it's a chance for them to
Well, look,
do the same
Walmart is obviously
characters.
craving to have exclusives now that because the 4-inch retro stuff, modern era stuff, was being a Walmart exclusive. So now Walmart's holding out their hand saying, what you got for us, Hasbro? And Hasbro's like, here, I have exactly the same guys you got in 4-inch, but now in 6-inch, and we're going to put them on cards that absolutely every collector must have. But casting our eyes forward, the Berg Force are excited about Lieutenant Falcon. Gaz is putting Stalker and the twins as his kind of must-haves, but by the same token, he's crossing his fingers for Shockwave in the next wave. And Darren's
Totally.
like, we've got 2 Destros plus Pimp Daddy, and he wants some Iron Grenadiers and Metalhead to accompany his McCullen. Yeah, skim
And then-
that. Let's get some troop builders for Destro.
And I like what Ryan Sweeney said here because it actually makes me feel better in a weird way. He says retro cards will be Walmart exclusives, and I don't see Hasbro having a new character being exclusive anymore. The Walmart and Target exclusives will be repaints. This makes me happy because as us not being in the States, it's great that these that new characters aren't exclusive. So that's great. I think even if you are in the States, that's also a pain in the ass. So there's that. That is cool. That is a ray of sunshine because I kept, for some reason, while we were talking now, I actually totally forgot that these are actually exclusives. Even though you did mention it, it didn't sink in my brain earlier.
Soz,
So
bro.
yeah.
Good luck to you.
Yeah, no, it's all good. It's all good. It's just, damn, it's like, okay, that makes a little bit more sense. And, yeah, so anything I said about it that made it sound like I was talking about a main line, just sort of massage that into the right direction in your own brains, dear listeners.
But these are all
Uh,
future releases somewhere along the line. You know, it's just whetting our appetites. Someone that whet our appetites and immediately delivered would have to be Super 7. I mean,
yeah.
after just announcing it before, just in time for Christmas, they released their dog sled pack. What do they call
Yes.
it? Arctic Rescue Vehicle. And say what you will about the 5 POA guys, the fact that Super 7 is now doing 3 3/4 inch vehicles is a very exciting thing. Okay, this is a vehicle. Okay, it's I
Yeah.
suppose a playset, a diorama piece. It comes with a lot of posable doggies, which I mean, pardon me for saying it, but I think they're more posable than the action figures. So I think this is a subtle way of Super 7 saying, like, Hasbro blocked us from having more articulated action figures. They were like, you guys do that reaction thing, that 5 POA thing. Stick to that. Don't play in our sandbox. But this is a subtle way of saying, like, you O-ring diehards out there, you modern era diehards out there who don't want to mess with our reaction guys, well, you're going to want this because these doggies are posable, man. And they're so cute.
And also, do you have a shot of the box art there? Because Adam Riches
Ooh,
kicked
yeah.
this box art's ass. It is so
Respect.
cool. The
Yeah.
box art alone makes me want this. Like,
Yeah.
not that I wanted, not that I'm clamoring for it or, or anything like that, but if I was in the States right now and I had a little bit of disposable cash on me and I saw this on the shelf, I'd pick it up because of that artwork. It's very cool. Just to have it as is. I think it's so... Look at the dude, man, with his laser gun. I love it so much. That old dude rocks.
It does come at a pretty penny for what it is. It's 75 US. Bearing in
Wow.
mind that Reaction is a kind of collector line, and Super 7 have to pay Hasbro royalties, licensing fees for their IP. So it is always going to be a premium price point. That said, Brian Flynn of Super 7 was very excited about the potential for vehicles. In his interview with Fushcast, like, he was champing at the bit. He wanted to spill the beans. He wanted to tell us about the Arctic Rescue Vehicle. And that prompts me to wonder, what else has he got
What is
in
he not
store?
telling us?
What
Yeah.
is up his sleeve? Gents, what can we expect from Super 7 in the vehicle line? Because while I, like many of you, have zero interest in collecting 5 POA figures, as attractive as they may be, as beautiful as the art may be, I just can't do it. The fact that they are going to give us vehicles that I can then shuffle into my O-ring collection, very exciting times indeed. And while a dog sled is a dog sled is a dog sled, I'm all about tanks, planes, jeeps, jets. Like, give me that stuff. What can we expect to see from Super 7? Drop down in the comments. Tell us, what are your speculations? Because they have quite a strong cartoon bent so far, I plucked some images from joeaday.com, and these are all from just the first miniseries, just the Mass Device. And we have the precursor to the Claw, the precursor to the Shark. We have Cobra underwater sleds. We've got the precursor to the Rattlers. We've got Destro's shuttlecraft. We've got the Baroness's undersea, like, pod that had legs and kind of like it was just a submersible, I don't know, pressurized deep sea vehicle. We had this kind of incredible, like, mountain scaling equipment that you could park a Mobat in, or a Wolverine in, or a Vamp in, for the final assault on the Cobra Temple. We've of course got the Cobra airship, which was kind of presented in Mass Device. It didn't have that snake head yet. It was just this giant floating helicarrier, for lack of a better term. And the thing that I thought has the most potential for being produced by Super 7 is this crazy hovering Cobra infantry, like, gunnery platform, which, I mean, it just looks like a spinning top essentially with a railing, but they're giving you a bunch of blue shirts. This would be a vehicle for you to stand your blue shirts on, pose them on. Just this hovering, floating aerial harassment vehicle. What do you guys think?
I think whatever they're going to do is going to be quirky. It's going to be something unexpected. I don't think it'll be something that has a parallel in the toy line that already exists. I mean, I think they proved that with the dog sled. I mean, they're taking something from the cartoons and they're making it real. I mean, I don't think they would ever do it because it's quite a big thing. But I mean, they had the Cobra choppers, the true transport choppers in the cartoons, didn't they?
Which looked like dragonflies with a bay. Like they had a sliding Huey
Yeah.
style door. Yeah. They were done up in
It's
like a
something
slate gray.
similar, but I mean, it's its own thing. I mean, I'd love to see something like that where you can put multiple figures into it and have it be Cobra. Because I think we've always wanted some sort of Cobra troop transport helicopter. And that'd be absolutely perfect. But I think any of those little small things would be really fun to have. Especially that the Baroness's depth charge pod thing. I mean, it just looks ridiculous and fun. And I think what you said about that hovering shooting platform, that it would be so easy to make. Like, so easy.
And in terms of creatures, the tube worms
Yes.
from the
And
Worms
Fatal
of
Fluffy.
Death and Fatal Fluffies.
Fatal Fluffy.
Very good.
Definitely
Fatal
make
Fluffies.
those.
The whole way. And I see a range of Dreadnought bikes at some point from Reaction for some reason. Just feel like they would be the guys to do Dreadnought motorbikes. Even though
You could,
you
do
could
that,
technically buy most
Hot
motorbikes.
Wheels.
No,
Hot
but it
Wheels.
has to
No.
be GI Joe specific.
But there's like the spinning platform is definitely one. I mean, if we're looking at the pictures that you put up on the screen just now, the spinning platform definitely seems to be something that would be within the purview of Super 7 to do. Like I think that suits their style the whole way.
Would you agree that this is within Super 7's purview? Bergforce, once again, Ryan is calling it now. Super 7 will make a USS flag from Super 7, and it will cost a cool 1,500 grand.
I
don't know if he's joking.
I wouldn't put it past him.
Cartoon accurate USS flag? Hell yeah, dude.
Wouldn't put it
Why
past
not?
him.
I think 1,500 might be a little conservative, to be honest. It might be a
well, the
little
thing
north
is-
of that, even.
And with Super 7, they might create a whole bunch of like cool extras for that. Things that are specific.
Look, if a turtle party van costs 400 US,
Ugh.
a flag is about 20 turtle party vans. No, not quite as that much. I'm gonna say maybe 10 to 12 in terms of plastic.
So maybe like
Cheapers.
2,800 US dollars.
Great
mean-
one from Gaz, and this is one that I actually wanted to raise as well because the cartoon is obviously doing rotation on YouTube, and I stumble upon it all the time. But in Captives of Cobra, we have that double-sided. Oh, hang on. He's referencing the Optimus Prime looking transport rig from Revenge of Cobra. Nice. The one that's carried the kind of the laser core. But also in Captives of Cobra, and he's citing this as well, that kind of double-sided rig on the sort of balloon tires that the explosive crystals are being transported.
Oh, that weird thing. Yeah.
That thing, it's cool.
Beautiful
Hey,
design.
actually-
And it totally takes on the like GI Joe classic design cues. It looks like a pack rat in a sense because the guns are red. It's got those big balloon tires. It's done up in a nice shade of green. So yeah, definitely like was it Russ Heath who was doing the designs at the time? He might have been very heavily influenced by the toys and like what other toys were available, like Zoids, stuff like that. Yeah.
I on a small tangent, I wouldn't mind a set of the family members in Reaction. Like the captives of Cobra. I think
You
that would
might
be quite
get
cool.
it. You got the bloody Games Masters like snow serpenty clown face dudes. Like, were there any vehicles from that episode? Because I'm thinking like they can't make those figures without a view to some place to put them. Like everything that Super 7 is releasing now, they I'm sure have debated a potential vehicle for. So was there a vehicle in that? Like I know there was a dump truck that had a giant like scoop thing I'm like,
Yeah, I don't know if they'll
it
do that.
got Flint.
I
Were there like kitty carts and stuff, like
I keep
funhouse
thinking
stuff?
there is that, but I know
I
that
know
they were
Zartan had like a
Cobra's Funhouse or
funhouse.
something.
Mm.
Yeah, those Cobra balloons would be cool as well, with Cobra Commander's
Ugh.
face on.
Darren's plucking one from the comic book, and I love him for it. The surprise, engage, and attack legs, or sea legs. Classic Herb Trimpe, very Jack Kirby-ish. If you know the issue, you know what I'm talking about. I think it's issue 8. Beautiful issue, not written by Larry, but yeah, fantastic, like one of a kind Cobra tech in that issue that we never saw again.
Wow,
And
guys.
the sea legs, they look like A wings with ATST legs. Courtesy of
very,
Anything Joe's.
It's very War of the Worlds, from the 80s. The video,
Totally.
the VHS box covers the posters. It kind of reminds me of that stuff. Ryan is on fire in the comments, by the way. I really love this. Ryan, Super 7 will give us the Red Rocket restaurant with Roadblock's aunt and uncle. I hope so. And
Sweet.
you also said uncle, so I'm pretty sure we're going to get the man from Auntie. I think we're going to definitely get him as well at some point. So that'll be
Guys,
cool.
I think Gaz has hit on the ultimate shipwrecks.
Yes!
His sand skiff. Because
That
that
would be
ties
so
in
cool.
How did I miss
with his
that?
introduction. That is an
Yes.
essential vehicle, and kind of, now that I think about it, kind of a very much in the same wheelhouse as the Arctic Rescue. Like it's another sled. This time it's wind powered
And quite essential, I would say, actually.
with
like-
exclusive Flint and Mutt and Junkyard in disguise, like in the Cobra Blue. Yeah, brilliant.
Okay, so now we're getting excited about Super 7 stuff, and now we know that this is a disease.
The vehicles will capture a market that the figures do not. So all of a sudden we're potential marks for Brian and his reaction team. Like this is their way of worming some dollars out of us. So keep them coming, man. As I
Yeah,
said
go
before,
you
I
guys.
can't get excited necessarily about a dog sled. Like I don't love Quinn that much enough to buy it, but I don't know. You could win me over with any number of things. Like if I was to pick
Yeah,
out one,
$76 is a bit heavy. So
oh, what would be the
that,
one
for
thing
me.
that we've mentioned that I would be all in for? Probably that submersible pod.
I think
I
that'd be
love-
really cool.
I love me an undersea thing. Mm.
Because yeah, by adding vehicles to the line, you get those people who aren't necessarily as enamored with the figures. The five points of articulation figures.
And let's not lose
if
sight of
the
the
vehicles
fact.
come with the figures, it's just you happen to get them with the vehicle.
And
you don't mind.
let's not lose sight
owning
of the
the figure.
fact that you don't need any articulation when you're manning a vehicle.
That's true. So then you
Mhm.
might as well actually. I mean, they'll come with the figures. People who don't like the figures necessarily will actually then experience the figures. Maybe they'll actually start to like them, and they'll be like, "Oh, I need more figures to man my vehicles." Then
And
you
I got
end
no
up
problem
buying the other
putting-
figures.
I got no problem putting a 5 POA guy in the pool because there ain't no screws to rust, my friends. There's no metal
Exactly.
T-bar that can corrode.
So if they can pull this off, if they can get vehicles into the line and get people who really don't like those figures, or at least don't or aren't, it isn't aimed at them, then they've really hit it out of the park. I think. If they got Steven considering buying Super 7 stuff, they're doing something right.
Give me the vehicles. All right, gentlemen, I think we have just enough time to reach into Postbox the Pit and pull out a wonderful message from Sam. I'm not going to read the message in so much as he leaves us a great quickfire topic, which we can do the rounds on.
Whoa.
And that is, we've covered the Cobra palettes of blue, of red, of black, of purple. But there's a color that's wormed its way into GI Joe, and it's not green, but yellow.
Whoa.
Yellow.
Who are your favorite GI Joe figures that exhibit the color yellow? picture for reference, but I'm sure Rob's gonna pull from this picture immediately.
There's 2 on this picture for me, so yeah.
Oh, it's
Well,
obviously
think-
Scoop. I mean, Scoop's number 1 when it comes to yellow.
Okay.
He just wears it so well, and it just goes. The green that he comes with just goes well with the yellow.
With
So
that
it doesn't
yellow.
kind of like it doesn't make the outfit look ridiculous. I think some people often when you see them in yellow, like most of these guys, they look like clowns. He's probably the guy who actually pulls it off best. I think. Just saying. Just saying.
That's heavy bias there, but okay.
Nah. That's I'm speaking for this is a logical argument here.
Oh, dude, for me, if I just have to look at just this picture, Airtight and Blowtorch, big time. I think they wear yellow so exceptionally well, and they're so great, like as toys. One day I will have my hands on a vintage Blowtorch, but I can speak of the modern era version of him, and yeah, it's just great. It just works. It's like even for his sort of specialty, I think yellow and I think his bright yellow colors work as well as Airtight, and it also makes Airtight a really fun character to draw. Is having that yellow color scheme. Yeah, of course, Scoop looks great, and I want to mention, even though he doesn't have that much yellow on him, I think old Mindbender, the one that I mentioned in that infamous episode, or that exciting episode of GI Joburg. And another one is Gung Ho from the Mega Marines. Gotta love that yellow Gung Ho.
Jeez,
So cool.
Highlighted.
Definitely one of my faves. Yeah. Was
Okay.
Claymore on that picture?
Claymore was.
Yeah, he would actually be a good one too.
Sam indicated that like we could go to town with Tiger Force, so we should
Yeah, I mean,
refrain.
Tiger Force is pretty straight. That's
Lifeline.
a shoe-in for anything, Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
Lifeline.
Blizzard. My favorite
yeah, actually.
Sahara banana.
Yeah, I was about to say, like, let's take the best yellow figure from Tiger Force and Blizzard. The best yellow figure from
My
Tiger Force.
favorite yellow GI Joe. I mean, it should be everyone's, but I'm gonna flash it on our screens. Lady J Fun School. Yes, please.
Oh,
Damn.
the other Mario brother / sister.
And you're the April O'Neil fan, Paul. So this yellow jumpsuit
Ticks all
definitely.
the boxes.
Yeah. Of course, there was that statue commemorating her
The Bishojo
by
one.
Bishojo. But just for anyone watching the YouTube, I can't find her
What's his
now.
name? Shunya Yamashita is the sculptor for that.
Huh, hilarious. I can't find the original on an image search.
There it is. Go
Oh
down.
no.
It's there's an the original. There's one on the top right.
Ah, there
If
we
you
go.
and your image search, there we go. Oh, okay, you got that one. Yeah.
Canary yellow jumpsuit. Okay, she doesn't have the straps, and for some reason she's wearing black panties on the outside. But if a woman approached me in a yellow jumpsuit and black
Panties
panties,
on the outside.
I don't know
call
if
an
I'd
ambulance?
necessarily turn her away. No, it's all good. It's very unique and top marks for me, I guess.
Here's a
Hey, what can I
controversial
say?
choice, and
I'm
I
a
just
sucker for
saw
Lady
it.
J.
Yeah.
A controversial one, which I just actually saw in your Google image search. I don't know if this will be in the final edit, but Jinx from the movie,
Oh
from
yes.
the movie line. Yeah, I
Another
like that as
contender.
well. I mean,
Well,
there's
she-
also
she had
Helix,
to-
I suppose. Yeah.
To a lesser extent. I mean, Jinx goes all
Yes.
in on the yellow because she had to. She couldn't look like a bloody red ninja. And this has been a problem with her classic look from the off. Because Jinx always existed in a world where guys in red geese were baddies. So how's she going to look visually different? Anywho, wonderful topic suggestion. Thanks, Sam, once again.
Would anyone
no,
put
really-
a tracker at the top of their list? Of yellow
Oh,
figures?
yeah.
Best shoes.
Darren, sorry, where is it now? Darren's got to say tracker. Yes. Tracker's off the starting blocks with those funky ass shoes.
Woo.
Man, oh man.
So cool. And he's Cyclops
His fun school
eyewear.
version, though, I think is even more yellow. I mean, I was
That's...
looking at a picture of
Is that
the
possible?
original.
Mm-hmm.
He's like proper yellow. I think I have the fun school version. I don't have the original.
I
He's
think
way
they're
more.
pretty much close in parity, though. Yeah, look, I mean, the fun school colors will always be a little bit tackier. Yep, winning. All right, gents. I think that's it for episode 2, 3, 4. Hasbro reveals and much, much more. Thank you once again to the Berg Force for joining us. A few in number today, but definitely great in comments. Always lovely to do this with
strong.
a motley crew of gents. We're still waiting for our first lady, and if you want to be that person, you can hit up our Patreon.
Hey,
And you
For
can
the princely sum of $3 dues a month, you can join us live or
more.
on the replay an hour, a day before it goes out to the public,
An
or
hour.
just stay in the public, and we'll check you guys in the comment section below.
And
2 pages.
just a small shout out
Absolutely
to our Berg Force, and also just wanted to just say again to Mark van Leeuwen, thank you very much for joining the Berg Force. I know that we had Hoodie on the last episode, and maybe you got a little bit lost in all of that excitement, even though we did mention you. But just wanted to put a spotlight on you again, just to say thank you for joining the Berg Force, and you're in the Berg now. So cool. Just wanted to put that out there. Yeah.
Gonna close out the show with some amazing Adkins art. The GI Joe
cool.
RPG game,
Ooh.
which will hopefully be dropping any minute now,
Oh my goodness.
has released some more artwork. This is Taurus atop what looks like an Abrams tank, but could just as well be a new school mauler. Firing an RPG one-handed. What a stud. But
Absolutely
what a great
amazing. I'm loving it.
great example of a yellow wearing GI Joe or Renegade. I'm not sure what his what his extent of affiliation to GI Joe is, but great and underutilized character, and wonderfully presented with some body armor, some tactical accoutrement to go over his canary yellow t-shirt.
Well, if anything,
Mendoza in the
if nothing else, this RPG books always come with absolutely amazing art and a lot of it.
Yeah.
Oh, and before we go, speaking of art, I believe 3D Joes have quite successfully launched their hardcover version of all of their art.
Yeah, collecting the art.
Their
of
Kickstarter came out,
G.I.
I
Joe,
believe, yesterday.
Yes.
And last night
Yeah.
they'd already shot past their goal. And when I checked, also last night at about midnight-ish, I think they'd hit about 60,000. And
Wow.
as of the recording of this podcast, they are now at $107,000 with 14 days to go, 767 backers. So they're producing 1,000 hardcover versions of all of the art that they've done so far, remastered once again, including it's a bigger format. There's fold out pages because they've hit all the stretch goals at this point that they originally announced. Fold out pages, full color, a lovely slipcase. It's looking like it's going to be absolutely amazing. If you love GI Joe art, hit them up. If you haven't bought your red vehicle or your Sky Striker reissue 2.5 or whatever it's called, go check these guys out and see if this is what you want. Absolutely incredible that they they hit it. This is amazing. I'm actually blown away.
And you can get it for the low price of $100.
Is that
Yeah,
what it is? Because I
100
was struggling to try and find like how much you need to. Maybe I wasn't looking.
Yeah,
but
to get one omnibus hardcover, you need to pledge $100 or more, and yeah, I've got to say that is really nothing when it comes
And
to the
fantastic.
quality of what
is this a full collection of artwork 1982 to 1994? Is that the
Yes,
ambit of it?
82 to 94. It's
Yep.
all of the stuff that they previously released in those soft covers, but collected together into omnibus, as well as with interviews. And because they hit the stretch goals, it'll come with a Blu-ray, which includes interviews that they did personally with several of the artists involved with the making of the art of GI Joe. And the current ship date will be December this year. So the
Can I
next
just
Also,
say at this point
production-
that we are so deeply lucky and fortunate to have Carson and the 3D Joe's team. I assume there's a team, or I assume that people that chip in. But Carson Metaxas, GI Joburg, salute you, dude. You are doing incredible work and preserving the stuff so immaculately. Wow, wow. $100 for all of that is it's earned that value and earned it again and again, doubled and redoubled. So yes, that's fantastic, man. Wow.
and
I
if
had
you
no
guys
idea.
are,
before I stop talking about this, one of the updates was 97 minutes. 97 minutes. We reached the base funding goal for the 480-page hardcover in 97 minutes.
Brilliant.
People want this. They absolutely want this, and
Yeah.
go check it out. It doesn't need me telling you about it, but I will tell you about it anyway.
guys,
And
I
lastly, if you
would
want to get
have.
hold of the show, GI Joburg, you can email us on arealsouthafricanhero@gmail.com. Or just drop down in the comment section below. I love to respond to anyone who takes the time of day to write us and have a little chin wag, express their views on what Super 7 is doing, what Hasbro's doing. Let us know. Let's start the dialogue.
Yeah, please
Continue
do.
the dialogue.
234, so much more to come this year, 2022. Let's do
Yo,
it.
Joburg.
You, me, and you, and them, and us. Berg.
Berg.
Brrr.